Bilderberger, New World Order versus the kingdom of YAH. Bilderberger, New World Order versus the kingdom of YAH. I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself, but some of you may not have heard the news about the Bilderberger meeting that's taking place in Washington, D.C. at this time. This Shabbat and this Shavuot weekend, the rulers of the world come together in a shadow government called the Bilderbergers. They all flew into Washington, D.C. yesterday for an emergency management meeting this weekend. Now, a lot of people think they are preparing to start the Great Reset. You know, there's a catchy phrase going around social media called the Great Reset. Usually this phrase, Great Reset, conjures in people's mind a concept called a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is defined as a major change in how people think and get things done that upends and replaces a prior paradigm. A paradigm shift can result after the accumulation of anomalies or evidence that challenges the status quo. Let me make that clear. Something has gotten the establishment world order concerned that the status quo of their rule is being challenged. And it's due to some revolutionary innovation or discovery. But it could be more than just that. A more simpler definition of paradigm shift is an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking about or doing something is replaced by a new and different way. In the way the concept of Great Reset is used on social media, it is an event which is about to happen, which will change the prevailing geopolitical and socio-economic structure of the world as we now know it. To be replaced, what the Bible says will be an oppressive, beast-like system of totalitarian world rulership that is commonly called the New World Order. This Shavuot weekend, the rulers of the world shadow government called the Bilderbergers have flown into Washington, D.C. since yesterday for an emergency management meeting, which is underway right now as we speak. Now, this was sudden. And usually these people do not meet publicly, or they do not announce when they're going to meet, and they usually choose secluded places where they meet. This is the first time they've decided to meet in Washington, D.C., which is a place of a lot of coverage. Now, these individuals that are there this weekend, this Shavuot weekend, the weekend when we celebrate the Feast of Weeks, the Feast of Pentecost, these individuals decided to converge this weekend. I don't know what the reason behind that is. There may be some kind of connection. I don't know. But these are the people that run the economic and geopolitical system of the world behind the scenes. These are your type of people who work with the Illuminati and the kinds of people that are the world bankers and instigators of the world economy. There may be major changes coming to the world as we know it from this meeting. They are scheduled to deal with a number of topics regarding Russia, China, Ukraine, the economic world banking system, NATO, etc. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play you a clip, a brief clip that's explaining all of this.
Now through the 5th of June in Washington, D.C.
Let me pick up it.
Well, I have a news alert. This is courtesy of Disclosed TV that made me aware of this, but the 68th Bilderberger meeting is taking place now through the 5th of June in Washington, D.C. And coming from the Washington, D.C. area, the 68th Bilderberger meeting will take place again from the 2nd through the 5th of June in Washington, D.C. About 120 participants from 21 countries have confirmed their attendance. As ever, a diverse group of political leaders and experts from industry, finance, academia, labor, and the media has been invited. Well, at least they got some media to cover at this time. And I'll leave the link down below. But the key topics of the discussion this year are geopolitical realignments, NATO challenges, China, Indo-Pacific realignment, Sino-U.S. tech competition, Russia, continuity of government and the economy, interesting, disruption of the global financial system, disinformation, energy security and sustainability, post-pandemic health, fragmentation of democratic societies, trade and deglobalization, and last, number 14, Ukraine. Founded in 1954, the Bilderberg meeting is an annual conference designed to foster dialogue between Europe and North America. Every year, between 120 to 140 political leaders and experts from industry, finance, labor, academia, and media are invited to take part in the meeting. About 2/3 of the participants come from Europe and the rest from North America, approximately 1/4 from politics and government, and the rest from other fields. The Bilderberg meeting is a forum for informal discussions about major issues. The meetings are held under the Chatham House Rule, which states that participants are free to use the information received, but neither the identity nor the affiliation of the speakers nor any other participant may be revealed. So we'll keep you updated on this. I'll leave the link down below. It's pretty interesting, but they are meeting now in Washington, D.C.
All right, you see who's there? Pfizer CEO. What's he doing there? Did they really put COVID on the shelf? You see CIA, national security directors, vice president of, well, it's not called Facebook anymore, it's called Metaverse, right? What are they doing? Etc. All attending. Well, let's review today from Revelation chapter 20 about what they are evidently seeing that's bothering them. Something is bothering them. These shapers and movers of this world order, or they wouldn't have had such a rushed emergency meeting as this. The main speaker for the whole event is a man about 102 years old, Henry Kissinger. He's still alive and kicking. And you know who he's connected with. So they're foreseeing some things that has them bothered. And this is a rush meeting. So today we're gonna review from Revelation chapter 20 about the true great reset of the real new world order, which is the kingdom of YAH. Maybe they're saying something about a change beyond just the war in Russia and Ukraine or even China. The media doesn't tell us everything, but hallelujah, the word of YAH is more informative and update than any source on media you or I could read. So what is more than likely putting fear in them is an awareness that a power greater than their power is coming to take over the world. And that is the kingdom of YAH and the Israelite people. Our time has come. One passage in the apocryphal book of 2nd Ezra says, the end of Esau and his rule is the beginning of the rule of Jacob's nation, the kingdom of YAH. There is much they have seen regarding you. I have even gotten reports that there were more documents about freeing the slaves historically back in the 1800s. These are documents that I saw where the people who fought in that war, the Civil War, realized that it was time for the slaves to be free. Now, these are documents that were revealed because this nation is a nation that has always been involved in one shape or form or fashion of satanic insights. And Hashatan is frightened. And when he's frightened, then all of his imps and all of his workers in humanity, they become frightened. And I suspect it's because the kingdom of YAH is emerging. You are the true great reset. What they're more than likely trying to do in DC right now as we speak, in their reset, based on some information that I've been reviewing through scriptures, is that pretty much is the construction of a great reset, which the Bible calls Mystery Babylon the Great. Mystery Babylon the Great is a process that is coming for the reestablishment of America's first capital, which is New York City. And the reset is to bring New York City into being as the world capital of all nations through its alliance with the support and dominion of the coming kingdom of the beast and of the Antichrist, who may already be lurking behind the scenes. This alliance will be a one world government and a one world religion centered around the mark and number of the beast, 666. This coming new world order reset will fulfill the aspirations of the motto on the back of the dollar bill underneath the pyramid, which states in the Latin language of Rome, Novus Ordo Seclorum, which in English means New World Order. Let me pull this up. Let us look at this. All right, if you can see it clearly, the banner underneath the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill says Novus, which means new, Ordo, which means order, Seclorum, world or secular, New World Order. Anua coepitis, may he bless our undertaking, and the blessing comes from the one whose eye is in the capstone with the radiation of lights around it, which is the illumination of Lucifer's power. to institute the Great Reset for the New World Order. We just saw a few months ago, President Biden outright said that they were now preparing for New World Order. I'm gonna pull that up, stand by just a minute.
Had an expression, out of everything terrible.
Let's start from the beginning.
I think, my mother had an expression, out of everything terrible, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. I think this presents us with some significant opportunities to make some real changes. We are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's gonna be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it.
What did he say?
Got to unite the
Let's back that up again.
We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it. So anyway, I'm going to hush up, Mary. Fire away.
Anyway, you heard what he said. A new world order.
Tulsi Gabbard is a former president.
All right. Yeah, it does take a lot of gall to outright say they are planning a new world order. So what's happened? The people that are behind this new world order are in Washington, D.C. right now as we speak. This should be an alert. This Shavuot weekend, we should be abreast of what's going on, because if you're hearing them outright telling you what they plan to do, and for the first time, the Bilderbergers will have the media in their meeting. They usually do not allow the media in their meetings. They're going to have the media in their meeting. This is somewhat foreboding, because this may be a time that we may actually see, oh yes, some major changes. And thank you for that note in the chat, Vita, about the statement he made about the millions that died some 60, 70 years ago. What they are conspiring to do, you and I can be sure, is related to what's been the goals and dreams and ideals on the back of the dollar bill, called the New World Order. Let me pull that back up. I want you to look at this just for a moment again. All right, the I in the capstone. Also, the Roman numeral letters underneath there are 1776. And a lot of people think that that's the birth date year of the United States. But there was something else that was going on in 1776 in Bavaria, Germany. It was the birthplace of a hidden society called the Illuminati. In 1776, which means illumination, the illuminated ones. And one of the symbols of the Illuminati, which is an inner circle of the Masonic Lodge, is the eye in the capstone with the radiating light of Lucifer. So if we're going to review what Jeremiah says, chapter 51, Jeremiah is telling Israelites at this time, in verse 46 to 44 through 46 in Jeremiah 51, he says, "My people, go you out of the midst of her, and deliver you every man his soul from the fierce anger of Yahweh. And lest your heart faint, and you fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall come one day, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler." You see, the US dollar was meant to be the world's gateway monetary system leading up to the Great Reset. which will be a paradigm shift to the control and economy of the New World Order of the beast and his mark. Biden declared the New World Order a couple of months ago to a group of business leaders in DC. Now, the Bilderbergers are in DC together right now to set it up. When the political capital of the beast, which is Washington, DC, is destroyed by the wrath of YAH, as described in Revelation 16:10 and 16:19, then Yahweh will move the heart of the beast to destroy Babylon, New York. In chapter 19, verse 10, chapter 16, verse 10 of Revelation, and the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain and blasphemed the Elohim of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before Elohim to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So you see, the fact that they are gathering in DC, the implementation of the kingdom of the beast is imminent, is drawing closer than we realize. And before they actually implement all they want there, they will have reinstituted New York as the new Babylon, the world ruling city, and it will be supported by the beast who will be ruling out of Washington, D.C. The beast, his seat is Washington, D.C. And there they meet this weekend. Revelation 17 explains the allies he will have. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Eventually, the beast and his comrades, the 10 horns, they will become jealous of the power of New York City. Though they support it, they will want all the power to themselves. These people are near at hand to emerge any day now. We may begin to see the process of the so-called reset from the biblical point of view of things. Already Jeremiah tells us that we are looking at a revolution of some sort that's going to happen in America. It could be this political year or in the next political year in 2024. But it says ruler will be against ruler and violence in the land, ruler against ruler in Jeremiah 51, verse 46. We need to keep our eyes and ears open. And if all that I'm saying tonight is not exactly as what I'm saying, I'm not a prophet, but I have to be a watcher. I have to be a watchman. I have to say whether it's clearly the case or not. I have to at least put it out there because it bears watching. I'm not going to be a dumb dog that doesn't bark when it thinks it knows something is approaching. A real dog will bark even when it don't know what's approaching until it can see better. Yah says his prophets many times were like dumb dogs. Well, I'm not going to be a dumb dog. I may not know everything that's going down, but I can tell you, I see enough to know that it's got my antennas up and yours and your ears should be perked up too as to what's going down. The 10 horns, it says in Revelation 17, verse 16, these shall hate the whore. They shall make her desolate and naked, shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. The Elohim have put in their hearts to fulfill his will, to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Elohim shall be fulfilled. So they are not going to sit up to be for long subservient to the international world body that will rule out of New York City. that seems to be the embodiment of what we call the United Nations there. So there's going to come a rift, even while at the same time there's a little cooperation, and it's going to tear this country apart. And Israel, that's when YAH tells you it's time for you to prepare to leave Babylon, because the beast is getting ready to be emerging, but he will be taken. And we also know the false prophet that is supporting and promoting him, a religious leader, he's going to be taken. And all those who they deceive to take the mark of the beast, which we described and showed some time ago, is a Kabbalistic insignia from Kabbalism. This is why I tell saints, I know some of us know people that are Israelites that are practicing Kabbalah. They need to be aware and know that that is the sign and the symbol and the magic of the mark of the beast. And that those, and I had to tell people, be careful of people who come to try to break down meanings from letters in Hebrew, to bring out meanings from those letters, or to use numerology from those letters. Because everything you see on the back of the dollar bill encompasses all of that, including that seal on the screen. This is why we teach to our youth biblical Hebrew. We do not teach Paleo Hebrew. We realize and recognize Paleo Hebrew is good for archaeologists. This is good for you to know from looking at pottery and bullahs, because that's where you'll see it. But you won't see any biblical texts that are available nowadays written in Paleo Hebrew. But it's not bad to learn it. Yet at the same time, we've got some people who are taking Paleo pictograph Hebrew letters and making cases of concepts. The thing about the cases of concepts and numerology they're taken from it, they don't realize that approach is not from the teachings of Yeshua. That is a mystical religion of witchcraft from the rabbis called Kabbalah and Zoharism. So if you hear any Israelites coming around with that, because we had a particular person at one time connected with a woman that taught that, and she wanted to teach our boys that and teach some of our Yeladim some of that. And I said, no, we lost some members over that. But subtly, the devil is trying to convince the world to accept this demonic insignia, making it seem as though it's ancient Hebraic. That's the real deception of it. And you saw what we played a few months ago of the golem, the image of the beast, how they can take an inanimate object and write in Paleo Hebrew on the head of the inanimate object and pronunciations of the letters in such a way that numerically it invokes a miraculous chain of events that can bring an inanimate object back to life called the golem. That is the symbol of the image of the beast described in Revelation chapter 13. So Israelites, beware of anybody teaching you Kabbalah. You must stay as far away from it as you can. Try to learn what the book teaches from what it says. Use your biblical and language as much as you can, but beware of the techniques and strategies others are using to manipulate numerology and other mystical signs and wonders with it to do magic. I had to convince a dear brother the other day. He's learning from a young man out of New York that got a Hebrew class. And this young man doesn't even believe in Yeshua. But a lot of brothers, like one of our dear young men, great musician, he got caught up in that class and ended up renouncing his faith in Yeshua. I'm not going to call his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. I loved him and played his music all the time. But eventually that person who he thought he was just learning Hebrew from, that person was laying out something more than just Hebrew. And then we had somebody connected with a man that said he was going to part the Hudson River using those things. And he wanted to come and teach some of our Yeladim in this fellowship network. And I said, no, I lost some members over that because I know what it's about. They're not just going to teach you Hebrew. They're going to slip in what they always do, Kabbalah. Beware of it. This is all part of the plan of the new world order. We have to awaken. It's all on the back of the dollar bill. And Israel, we should have no part of it.